Hi, my name is Ny'Jai Westmoreland, and thank you all for having me today. Today, I will be talking to you all about mental health among college students. But before I get into that, I would just like to share a quick story about myself. So, growing up, I would experience various mood changes and severe anxiety, but I was very young. I would say about 13, so I didn't really know what it was, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. I didn't tell my parents, I didn't tell my friends, my teachers, and I was very good at kind of hiding it as well, so nobody really noticed. But of course, as I got older, I started to realize that that was a mental illness, and I've learned to deal with it. And I feel like it's important. It's an important topic, and it needs to be addressed, because in the future it can really affect you like heavily. So I feel like it's important to address it now and discuss it head on before it's too late. Which brings me to my thesis statement. Mental health issues are affecting college students' academic performance. And today I'll be talking to you all about three main points. First, I'll be talking to you all about the primary types of mental illnesses. Second, I'll be talking about mental health services on campuses. And third, I will be talking about how mental illnesses are affecting college students' academic performance. Anxiety and depression are very common in college students, and especially sophomore and freshmen. In an article I read by Miller Thompson in 2017, she basically discusses the presence of stress, anxiety, and depression and how they kind of all connect and form a big circle with each other. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America compare anxiety and depression, but they also point out how their symptoms can sometimes overlap, such as nervousness, sleep issues, and inability to concentrate. These factors can be very detrimental to a student's academic success. It was also found that in 2008, the American Association reported that 33.9% of students have experienced stress, while 16.1% of students have experienced stress and anxiety, which goes to show to my point that anxiety and depression are the primary types of illnesses that college students are dealing with right now. There was also another study conducted that identified three key factors that occur while students are going through anxiety and depression. These three factors were the use of marijuana, cigarettes, and the use of cocaine as coping mechanisms, which is why I feel like the drug use in teenagers have rapidly increased over the years, because students don't know how to deal with them, they don't know where to start, and they don't know who to go to, which goes back to my point of why these issues need to be addressed, so in the future it doesn't lead to things like that, of the use of marijuana, cocaine, and cigarettes and stuff like that. In addition to unpacking how students deal with these main types of mental illnesses on campuses, many students are unaware of their mental health services on campus. They don't know where they are, and they don't know if they're available. The use of mental health services on campus goes unnoticed by many college students. And in an article I read by Jorgensen et al. 2008, they basically conducted a study which they examined the connections between university students' mental health and their knowledge of their mental health services on campus. As a result of this study, students who were reported to be mentally distressed were more likely to use the services, but on the other hand, some students who were reported to be mentally distressed did not use these services because they didn't know, or they did know but they just simply didn't use them. Recent research has also indicated that between 30 and 60% of students were unaware, and they were uncertain of the availability of these services. I feel like that's why it's important that we understand what students know about these services and how are they receiving the information, find out if they are even receiving the information and where they're getting it from. because if they don't know about the services or they're unaware, how would they know to use them? And how can they improve their mental illnesses by being on campus if they're unaware of their services and their help that they need? I also feel that it's important for universities to address these issues more frequently and prepare students so when they do encounter issues like these, they know how to deal with them. In addition to discussing the primary types of mental illnesses that students deal with on campus and their use of mental health services, mental health is affecting students' academic performance. Mental health issues appear to be associated with lower GPAs and college attendance, meaning they're not going to school, they're dropping out, and they're not returning for their most of the time, freshmen are not returning for their sophomore year because of these behavioral health issues. In the article I read by DeLuca et al. 2016, the National Alliance, they conducted a survey on mental illness, and they found as many as 73% of undergraduates at universities with behavioral health conditions experience a mental health crisis on campus, which means that these mental health illnesses are impacting students' continued enrollment, their graduation from colleges, and their academic performance. And especially when these issues are being overlooked, they're being dismissed, or they're just simply being ignored. It all goes back to addressing these issues head on and giving students the information they need in order to get help. They've also found that undergraduates diagnosed with depression reported a decrease in approximately half a letter grade compared to non-depressed students. And being depressed really does affect your functioning, your brain, and especially how you work in a classroom. It's just like your brain is like a battle with yourself every single day. And it's just like, how can you get through the day when you have like one thing on this side and then one thing on this side? And it's like they just won't mix, and it's like you don't know how to deal with it. There's also another article I read by Hickman and Luzo 2007. They discuss how mental health and career development can have potential reciprocal effects on college students. And many researchers have argued that psychological distress may intensify underlying career / and or vocational symptoms, and they may lead to more psychiatric syndromes if they're ignored or ineffectively addressed. And I feel like that's why it is important to examine the interaction between psychological and career development. Mental health issues need to be addressed more and talked about in colleges in order to help improve students' mental health illnesses and their academic performance. So first, in order to move on, I feel like we need to make a change. And first, we need to address the two main types, find out what they are, find out what you have, and then figure out how to deal with it. Form more mental health services across the nation, because I feel like there's not a lot of schools that address these issues. Some colleges do, but I feel like there's a lot that don't address them. So there needs to be more mental health services across the nation so that students can get help and so that their mental issues are not affecting their academic performance. That's all I have today. But before I close out, I would like to say a quote by Drew Barrymore. Life is very interesting. In the end, some of your greatest pains become your greatest strength. Thank you all for having me, and I hope you guys enjoy.